Israel Adesanya talks about training with Alex Pereira. Israel Adesanya recently sparked a fascinating possibility training with Alex Pereira. These two have been in some of the most intense competitions in combat sports, battling each other 4 times. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon so you never miss an update. But now, it seems they've set their rivalry aside and are considering training together. This news follows Pereira's memorable knockout defeat against Adesanya in 2023, the only time Adesanya emerged victorious. Adesanya said he was open to the idea of training with his former adversaries before his fight against Nassourdine Imavov this weekend at UFC Saudi Arabia. Speaking to MMA Fighting, Adesanya said, "Yeah, certainly later on. Alex and me, I've declared that I received what I was looking for from this fight. The MMA world gets obsessed and always tries to destroy a positive thing because they are always looking for more, not knowing when they should quit. That's why it's not a good idea to bet on. However, eventually it will take place. For now, this is not the moment. He's far away and the chance hasn't come up yet. There are still fighters such as Carlos Ulberg in the trenches who are working hard and preparing for the next fight, hoping they can be the most popular fighters. I will always be awed by Pereira. Pereira is a person we already know, and we've discussed this with one another. This is why it's going to occur shortly. Who knows what time? Given the current circumstances, it's uncertain whether Adesanya and Pereira will meet again in competition, which could pave the way for a unique training partnership. Adesanya has expressed his intention to focus on competing at middleweight, but the rise of colleague Carlos Ulberg in the lightweight division could complicate any potential collaboration with Pereira. For this to occur, Pereira must remain the champion of 205 pounds. Pereira is scheduled to take on Magomed Ankalaev at UFC 313 on March 8th. His team posted footage of him in training for the fight. Max Holloway could beat Islam Makhachev. Since Islam Makhachev holds the record for the most lightweight UFC title defenses, there's been plenty of debate about who could stop his reign. In the past, Beneil Dariush weighed in on the subject, raising some eyebrows with his suggestion of the possibility that Max Holloway could push the lightweight king to the limits. Here's what Dariush said: "You know who'd be interesting? Max Holloway. I think Max Holloway could be a good, interesting fight for Makhachev, so we'll see." If asked for clarification of his explanation, he said, "Because he's hard to hold, he has excellent cardio and throws a lot of volume. These are things that could be difficult for Makhachev." Interestingly enough, if you watch the fight with Merab Dvalishvili, he has excellent cardio and was able to do so much with it. I don't remember the last time I saw Holloway in the 4th or 5th round, and he's slowing down, so he has something similar. It's an interesting debate. There's no doubt that Holloway is a dynamo with mediocre wrestling defense and high-level boxing. However, the main problem is whether Holloway has the jiu-jitsu abilities to escape Makhachev's grasp and withstand his devastating chokes. Are you convinced? Do you think Max Holloway will be the one to take over Islam? Dana White makes last-minute change to UFC 312. Dana White has made an important last-minute change for UFC 312 after Cody Hayden was forced to withdraw from his fight with Alexander Topuria due to an injury. Alexander Topuria, the brother of Ilia Topuria, was left without a fight until UFC quickly came up with an alternative. Australian MMA reporter Benny P tweeted, "From what I've heard, unfortunately, the rumor of Cody Hayden being out of his fight against Alexander Topuria is true. Cody has had a lot of bad luck over the last couple of years with injuries, so it's a shame those problems have followed him into the UFC. Literally my most anticipated fight of UFC 312. In the aftermath of this, the UFC swiftly rebooked Alexander Topuria with Colby Thicknesse, and he was even willing to take over with very short notice. It is noteworthy that Thicknesse has been Alexander Volkanovski's trainer and sparring partner, adding excitement to the fight. What do you think of this last-minute alteration? Tell us via the comment section below. Alex Pereira talks about Magomed Ankalaev fight. Last week, the UFC officially announced the possibility of a light heavyweight title bout that will be fought between Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev for the UFC 313 card. Although Dana White had previously stated that Ankalaev was the next to be considered after his recent victory, rumors circulated that Pereira might be able to move to heavyweight instead. The speculation was that Pereira would be avoiding Ankalaev. In an interview with ESPN, Pereira dismissed those assertions and said that he had actively sought fought that fight to be rescheduled. I did say I wanted to take a break, but I started training again, feeling good and seeing my evolution. So I called my managers right away and said, I want to fight. I want to fight in March. I want to fight Ankalaev. I know people keep saying I'm just an employee of the UFC. I fight whenever they want, but I asked him. I told them when I wanted to fight. Pereira has also weighed in on the recent loss of Jamahal Hill to Jiri Prochazka in UFC 295. Despite their tense confrontation in UFC Performance Institute back in December, Pereira harbors no ill will towards Hill. In an interview with MMA Junkie, he said, I have absolutely no problem with him. We're both the same. Sometimes I'll make some fun before the fight, or he'll say something about me, but tomorrow we're going to hold hands and respect each other. All the turmoil that was created is just part of the sport. It is yet to be determined whether Jamahal Hill will be able to bounce back to title contenders following his loss to the UFC. In the case of Pereira, the fight in March against Ankalaev is expected to be among the top-rated fights on the UFC 313 card. Islam Makhachev shouldn't fight at 185. After winning the ring in UFC 311, Islam Makhachev caused a stir when he suggested he could be a candidate with a UFC middleweight belt. While his stock as lightweight champion has never been higher, not everyone supports his moving up 2 weight classes, including former UFC fighter turned analyst Alan Juban. Makhachev has been expressing interest in winning a title at welterweight. It is a mere 1 tier higher than the lightweight. His recent remarks about competing at middleweight caused controversy. In an interview with MMA Junkie, Jobin shared his opinions. I don't have to be seeing it. I love watching athletes dominate their weights and set records. This is when we discuss the greatness of a person. Do I believe in it? Yes, I take it very seriously. Harley is determined to succeed. Has he earned it? Yes. He set the record by defending the title 4 times. If Islam rises to 185, he'll be looking to be victorious. If he doesn't, then he could say, so what? I'm still the champ in lightweight. I'm still wearing the belt and have no loss. This is why I'm not a fan of these double champions. It's one thing up to 170 pounds, but to leap 2 weight classes seems like a travesty. There's nothing to lose, and I want to have something to lose. If he loses, then he is back to defend his lightweight belt, which will put the division in limbo. Juban has an interesting argument. Not only could Makhachev be facing much bigger opponents with 185 pounds in the ring, but he would also not be putting too much at risk to his reputation were he to lose. What are your thoughts? Would Makhachev go after belts at 170 and the 185 pound weight class, or should he continue to build on his legacy in lightweight? Let us know your thoughts.